I know a portion of the internet has kind of turned on Spider-Man No Way Home, but also considering that a portion of the internet has now turned on The Batman and doesn't think that was good, I will say that I still love Spider-Man No Way Home. This was a movie for me that was a culmination of a lot of things that I grew up with live-action versions of these characters, and it scratched an itch for me. It made me very, very happy. And because of that, I did want to talk today a little bit, very briefly, about a happy story, something interesting that Andrew Garfield said about his version of Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, following the events of Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, before we hop more into it, if you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I do talk about Spider-Man, also Batman, Marvel Comics, DC Comics properties. We do Assassin's Creed videos, Fallout videos sometimes, James Bond, moving into Metal Gear Solid. There's a lot of stuff on this channel with pop culture and just series I enjoy. That's what I like to talk about, things I enjoy or that get really under my skin. Recently, the Spider-Man No Way Home art book came out, The Art of Spider-Man No Way Home. I have not been able to get this book yet, but a lot of the scans of it have made its way online, I shall say. And there was a very interesting statement from Andrew Garfield regarding his version of Spider-Man. And he said about his Spider-Man, it's changed his life. He's going back, and that's to his dimension, obviously, knowing that he has brothers. He's going back in, re-inspired to follow his destiny, his calling, the purpose of his life. By catching MJ, he got to make up for a terrible tragedy that he tried to avoid in his world. If he hadn't been in Peter 1's world, then it's possible MJ may have met the same fate as Gwen. His presence was a purpose presence in that regard, and I think he's going back with a mind blown about the cosmos and the universe and string theory and multiple dimensionality. He's going back incredibly reinvigorated. Now, this is something that actually does matter and is interesting because a point of the movie that I think is often glossed over is that the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man lost hope in his reality. We don't know how far he went, but we do know that he said that he stopped pulling his punches. There are definitely debates about whether or not he would have just severely injured criminals. Maybe he killed someone or some people. And this is something that I know I've asked my audience before, I believe on here and on Twitter, kind of what you think would have happened with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man after he stopped pulling his punches. So I'm interested to hear your opinion on that. But personally, I don't believe he would kill a bunch of people on purpose. He is not the Punisher. I do think that he could hit the point where he got so emotional and so devastated that he was injuring people, beyond what was necessary. Perhaps it could hit a point where somebody accidentally dies and it's kind of a wake-up call for him. I guess it would really depend on where they want to take that story, if we ever get to see it, but it is something that we did see in the movie. Yes, he's friendly to these characters. He's friendly to, obviously, Tobey's Spider-Man and Tom's Spider-Man. He's friendly, obviously, to Ned and MJ, but you can tell that he's sad. That's something that you can tell with this Spider-Man, that he's sad, he's a little uninspired, unsure of himself, and kind of unhappy. So to hear Andrew say that he would go back to his universe more reinvigorated to follow his calling, I think is something really sweet and interesting and special. And it's something that we've been wondering since the end of the movie, because I think a lot of us do want to see an Amazing Spider-Man continuation. I mean, the multiverse is out there. My personal opinion on the multiverse, and I know some people are going to disagree, is not to milk it, but to tell any stories that are good with it. And this is what I mean. If you have established that Andrew is out there, that his Spider-Man's out there, that Tobey Spider-Man is out there, and you have a really good story to tell with the Andrew Spider-Man or the Tobey Spider-Man, tell them. I want to see those. I want to see good stories. I don't want to see those characters return just for the sake of it, but personally, I did not think that's what No Way Home was. There was a lot of meaning behind it for me, and it really meant a lot to me. And Garfield went on to actually talk a little bit more about that with his Spider-Man, and he said the story never ends, whether we film it or not. There's a story happening in a universe somewhere. There's endless potential with this character and all the different iterations. So yeah, he's definitely out there doing something. And it's something that I really appreciated from Andrew because he's very obviously super passionate about this character. And he's talked before a little bit how in some ways he was even relieved back after The Amazing Spider-Man 2 when it was passed on to someone else, but also that it was, a very interesting time in his career when that stuff was happening. So it's interesting to me to actually hear him come back and just be so, into the role and love it so much and have so much to say about where this character could have gone. It's also worth mentioning that recently in an episode of the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Andrew Garfield even said that he was actually open to the idea of returning as Spider-Man in a future project, but he did say that it would have to be something very unique and very special with a clear purpose for both the audience and the character. And I just thought that was interesting to hear. This is honestly a version of Spider-Man that I really love, that I did grow up with, and it's really cool to hear that he's not only so invested in the role that he has this idea of what would happen actually to this Spider-Man after the whole thing, but also that he is so invested in the character that he's interested in maybe even returning. I would love to see a third Amazing Spider-Man, like I said. I'd also love to see his character pop up again in something like Secret Wars if it was well done and actually served a purpose. And of course, now we do see Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine in the MCU for Deadpool 3, so as long as the story is good and there is a point to having him, I would love to see it. I just want that, which it sounds like Andrew is pretty committed to only returning if the story was good for the character. Now let me know what you think in the comments down below. I thought this was just kind of a fun, feel-good story and something interesting to talk about. Like I've said probably 5 times in this video, I'd love to see more of Andrew, so let me know what you're thinking. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content. I appreciate you all very, very much. And recently I put up a very special to me video, which I'm going to have linked here at the end. And that was about Metal Gear Solid, one of my favorite video game series. So I hope you will check that out as well. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shway.